Hey, how is
Okay,
everyone
here
doing
I've got
today?
the pecans. You see, I
Y'all
put the
stay
pecans
with
right
me
here while the
and see
frosting is
how
still
I
warm.
made this cola
Um,
brownie.
so whenever it gets cool enough for it to cut, the frosting would harden a little bit on top, but I would cut it in squares. That way, everybody has their own pecan. But like I said, you can do it as you want to. You can just have fold in chopped pecans inside the frosting before you put it on the thing. Before you put it on the cake, or you could pour the frosting on top and then you just sprinkle pecans all over the top of it, or you could do as I did and just put the pecans like this, as a half pecans on each thing, and then cut it in a square like that. So I will come back after this cools and cut it in squares. Okay, here we go. I had to answer that phone call real quick, but we're back in motion here. Okay, now the first step is to get a big mixing bowl like this, and we're going to mix all this dry ingredients on the first step together. So I'm going to put my 2 cups of flour, get that together, and then we're going to put the 2 cups of sugar. That there. Put the half a teaspoon of salt, the teaspoon of baking soda. I don't know if I said that earlier, but that's in the first step. Teaspoon of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And a half of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, we're just gonna stir that all together. And this is the dry ingredients part. So we're gonna do this together, and here we go. I wanted to get me some of those clear bowls. That way I could put the phone beside it and y'all can see me stirring the ingredients on these big bowls. Okay. I think that's good enough right there. Okay, we got all the dry ingredients together. Oops, and I am splashing it. Okay, that's our first step, and it says put this aside. Okay, now we're gonna get a 9 by 12 inch pan. I got these right here to make it easier for gifting or traveling. Take it to dinners or anything like that, or luncheons or gift giving. So this is a 9 by 12 inch pan. You could use a 9 by 13, or even use when they're glass pans, those glass baking pans. 9 by 13 inch pan. To do this, be sure to spray it, coat it. Back in the old days, they used Crisco to do the pan, but I'm just using this Pam original nonstick spray. And make sure you preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now I'm going to the next step. Hey everyone, I'm getting these ingredients together for this recipe. We're making another old-fashioned cake recipe from back in the 1950s. Cake recipes back then, they hand them down from generation to generation to generation. And so I'm wanting to put some of these recipes online for, family members to go back and look at. Other people might want a vintage recipe and they want to cook something really yummy. Well, today I'm making a chocolate cola cake. It's not the same as the Coca-Cola cake. There's several different versions of Coca-Cola cake, but this right here is called a chocolate cola cake. And they recommend using, back in the old days, they had the glass bottles of cola back then. But I haven't been able to find the glass bottles of Coca-Cola. So I'm having to use the cola that comes in those plastic bottles. Like this is what I'm using today. But when I find a Coca-Cola in a glass bottle, I'm going to get it just to make the cake with next time. So just a tip that, the great grandmas and everybody passes down. you know, little tips here and there on cooking. So right now, okay, I'm getting the ingredients together, and this right here comes in steps. Now, there's a technique to this. It comes in 1, 2, 3, 4 different steps, and to keep these steps simple, we're gonna just go it by the steps. Okay, first step. Okay, first step, we're gonna take, let me move this out of the way because it's a different step. Let me put your first step ingredients together. Okay, I've got 2 cups of flour. I've got 2 cups of sugar. I've got a half of a teaspoon of salt. And I had the pink Himalayan salt, but back then I don't think they had the pink Himalayan salt. But they, so they just use the probably regular just table salt that they use. But I'm using pink Himalayan salt. And then this one calls for a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And like I said, there's several different versions out there. I'm gonna try the other Coca-Cola cake later, but this one's called the chocolate cola cake. Okay, and my sister Cindy gave me this recipe, and I am gonna make it. Okay, so that is the first step. Okay, now you get a big bowl, mixing bowl, and then this is what we're gonna do. First, I got a phone call. Hold on. Okay, now for the third step. Now, actually, this has, I think it's 5 steps, but this right here would be my third step. So now I am getting my saucepan right here, putting it over medium heat, and I'm adding 1 cup of butter. I'm adding 1/4 cup cocoa powder, unsweetened, 1 cup of Coca-Cola, and then a half a cup of buttermilk. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna first add in my butter. And I put the wrong eye on again. Look at that. Let me put this on medium. You know what, I wanna use that eye anyway because that one fits that one perfectly. And this one's got my knobs. This one has medium on it, but this one don't. Okay, here we go. I'm just rambling. Okay, here we go. We got the 1 cup of butter in there on medium heat, okay? Now we're gonna add in the buttermilk. Nice thick buttermilk. We're gonna add in the 1 cup of Coca-Cola. And I don't want to spill this. Coca-Cola. And then we're adding in this unsweetened baking cocoa powder, which I use the Hershey's cocoa powder, but this right here calls for 1/4 cup. Put that in there. And then we're going to stir this continuously until that butter needs to melt. But it said, you know, they said put it all together. Like I said, this is my sister's recipe. She gave it to me. And she says it's really, really good. So we're going to try it. And that way, these old-fashioned recipes can still stay alive. Y'all can have these to go back to and cook when you have them get-togethers or parties. But we're just gonna whisk this thing together. And I like these glass dishes when I'm doing melts and stuff like that. Like I said, you cook this over medium heat. And it says to cook it until it boils on medium heat. So you know if it's on medium heat, it's gonna be a while. My sister's gonna try this this cake out this afternoon to make sure it tastes as good as when she makes it. So I can't wait to see how Cindy likes the cake, her version of this cake, so. But it says cook it only till it boils. So I'll be right back because it might take a little while to boil on medium heat. Or do y'all want to see the whole process from start to finish? Well, I could put it right here, I guess. And y'all can see when it starts boiling, I guess. Let's try that out then. And if you don't like the time to wait and see when it boils, you could always fast forward to when it boils. I'm just whisking this up. See, the butter's melting nicely. And see, these pans right here, to me, the handles don't get hot either. I love that part. I guess, but I guess if you put it in the oven, it might get hot. I have to check that out. I'm always using a pot holder in the oven. You know, when I get things out of the oven. Like I said, random talking. That butter is melting nicely. I can smell the chocolate. I got another phone call. I'll be right back. That was my sister Cindy calling. I told her I had to let her go because I'm trying to cook this cake for her. You know that she gave me to make. So she said, "Well, okay, I'll let you go," because she wanted to try this cake. Okay, everything's already melted in here, and it's still on medium heat. And I gotta. Okay, it's boiling. See, it's starting to boil. See, it's starting to boil. Okay, I let it boil all the way around like that. Okay, I think that is good enough. Because it's boiling, but I don't want to get to a hard boil. We just want it boiling, but I want it boiling all the way around here, not just in the center. I stir it occasionally, so just make sure it don't stick it to the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to take this off the eye. Turn my eye off. You see, it's really boiling now. Turn my eye off. And then we go to the next step. Okay, we're back to the flour mixture that we had mixed during the first step. Okay, what I do now is I take this, stir it up a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to take this and you pour it into the flour mixture. There we go. And then we whisk until all combined. Hold on. I can't do this with it. Can you see that? Maybe you can see it right there. I'm going to whisk this in the flour mixture until all combined. You use a whisk. You don't use a machine on this, or a mixer rather. Use your whisk. Vigorously, because we don't want lumps or nothing, so we vigorously whisk this together. You see it, how it's coming together? Whisk that out to the side. Okay. Okay, whisk that till it's combined. Go here. Okay, look how smooth that looks. Look how smooth that looks. Okay, see it? See how smooth that looks? Let me. Okay. There we go. Okay, now, the next step is this. Okay, the next step is to add 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, I don't want the eggs to get scrambled, so I'm going to temper the eggs, what you call temper the eggs. So I'm going to, it's 2 eggs here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bowl, and I'm going to add my eggs in the bowl first. Because we don't want to have scrambled egg cake, you know? There we go. Let me wipe my hands down good. Safety first. Okay, we got my 2 eggs in here in the bowl. And to temper the eggs is what we do is we add a little bit of the hot batter. I'm gonna move this aside so you can see it better here. We add a little bit of the hot batter to the eggs. Some of that. And then we whisk it vigorously. So it tempers it and cools it down, and then where the eggs don't get scrambled. So this is what you call tempering. The fancy word, tempering. Okay, now we got that in there, and then we're going to add a little bit more of the hot mixture in here. We're going to temper it some more. And this keeps your eggs from becoming, like if you just put the cold or even lukewarm eggs or room temperature eggs in the hot mixture there, it would cook the eggs before you could get it baking in the oven, and it'd end up scrambled eggs. Maybe chocolate scrambled eggs. I never had that. It might be good. Random talking again, huh? Yeah. So we do not want scrambled eggs in the cake mix. So this is what you call tempering. Okay, see that? We temper the eggs. And see, there's no scrambledness in there. It's all mixed smoothly and together. Okay, now, this is what we want to do now. We take these 2 eggs that we tempered with the hot mixture. And remember, you vigorously stir it when you do it. See? I'll do it right there. See? See how smooth that is? Okay, now we add this to the hot mixture. Okay, now slowly and vigorously we start adding. See? And this is another way to burn calories. Oh, sorry, I didn't know I had my sleeve in the way so y'all could see. Okay, now, let me scrape this bowl down to get all that egg stuff, goodness out of that, into here. Okay. This bowl to the side, wipe my hands down. Okay, now, just vigorously burn some more calories by Stirring this up. Okay, now you see the batter, how smooth it is? Now, there is no scrambled eggs in this, right? See? So remember, temper your eggs before you put them in a hot mixture so you don't have scrambled eggs in there. There we go. Okay. Burn some more calories here because I just like stirring. Okay. Now, I'm going to add the vanilla extract now, which is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. Stir that up. That smells good. Okay, let me get my cake pan. Now, here's the cake pan. Now here's my already sprayed cake pan, and we're just going to pour it in the cake pan. See how smooth that is? Actually, this is really easy to make. It's just a technique that you have to go through, or steps that you have to go through. Take your time, do it right. You know, to go by the directions. I'll make sure I'll post this recipe in the descriptions below to help out, so you can write them down yourself. But be sure to go through the techniques of how to make it. Don't just throw everything together and expect it to turn out. You have to go through steps to make these cakes. So, okay, let me get me a scraper to get all this goodness out. Okay, because we want all this goodness in here. Yes, all this goodness. Yes, there we go. Okay, put my bowl to the side. Even that out there. Okay, now I've already had my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven and we're going to cook it for 30 minutes. Check it after 30 minutes to see if it's done. Okay? And we'll come back when it's done. Thank you. Hey, okay, the next step, right before the cake is almost done, we're going to get another saucepan on top. Okay, we're going to put in the next ingredients. This is the next step. Okay, this is a 1/2 cup of butter. We're going to put in the pan. Open this up. 1 stick is a 1/2 cup of butter. Put this in the pan here. We're going to put it on medium heat. Right there. Okay, we're going to put in 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. But I'm going to wait till that melts a little bit. And then we're also, let me get my Coke here. Okay, we got to put in the Coca-Cola. Okay. Open up another Coke. We're going to put in a 1/2 cup of Coca-Cola. So, 1/2 cup is 4 ounces. So, put in a 1/2 cup of Coca-Cola there. And then we're going to put in our cocoa. And the cocoa calls for a 1/4 cup of cocoa. Put that in there. Set that to the side. And I'm going to stir this up. There we go. Let me chop that butter up a little bit. Let me get up here. That way you see it. Don't mind the cocoa powder on the sides. It kind of flies when you put it in there. I mean, you know, the cocoa powder goes. Okay, I'm just stirring this up here, and we want to let this melt and cook over medium heat just until it boils, okay? Once it boils, starts boiling, you have to remove it quickly. Oh, and I got a phone call. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm just stirring this up here, and we want to let this melt and cook over medium heat just until it boils, okay? Once it boils, starts boiling, you have to remove it remove it quickly. Oh, and I got a phone call. Okay, hold on. Okay, here I've got the pecans. You see I put the pecans out here while the frosting is still warm. Whenever it gets cool enough for it to cut, the frosting would harden a little bit on top, but I would cut it in squares. That way everybody has their own pecan. But like I said, you can do as you want to. You can just have fold in chopped pecans inside the frosting before you put it on the thing. Before you put it on the cake. Or you could pour the frosting on top and then you just sprinkle pecans all over the top of it. Or you could do as I did and just put the pecans like this, as a half pecans on each thing, and then cut it in a square like that. So I will come back after this cools and cut it in squares.